Okay, so yes, I'm doing this again. We are going to learn how to do the texture hand right now. Okay, so the first step, you're going to be drawing this on a separate piece of paper. Okay, on the paper, the first thing that you are going to do is you are going to trace your hand. Okay. If you can't do it yourself, ask a friend near you. Okay, and if your fingers don't come out perfect, that is perfectly fine. Okay, so the next thing you want to do is we want to work on getting the cushion of that thumb right there. Okay, I am asking that you guys fill in the palm of the hand, the details that are in the palm of the hands, as well as getting the crack in the ground. Okay, more textures to learn how to draw. All right, so I start off by kind of curving in that line. Okay, and same thing here. And then I want to draw the wrist. Okay. So now that I have some of the wrist drawn, although this looks very thin. All right, that's part of why I don't like to trace the wrist part, because it tends to come out really thin. Okay. So there's my wrist. The next thing you want to do is you want to start a little higher up right here, and you're going to draw a jagged line, however you would like to draw that jagged line. Does not need to be a perfect line. Okay, you can follow exactly what they did, or you can make your own. All right. So now I want to bring the wrist part all the way down, and I want to look for any points where I can drag the line down, like a point right here. If I were to draw a line straight down, that would actually be on the actual surface of the land. So you're not going to do that point, you would do this point right here. Any point that you can drag that down, and it's not going to overlap the ground. Okay? So then you can add some more cracks in the land. Okay, and if you didn't guess, you are now drawing another type of texture. Okay, so I'm getting a lot of Y shapes or squiggly lines. Anything like that will give the illusion of a texture, of a crack in the ground. Okay, you can add some spots, some shading, some dots to make it look a little more rough, like sand. And then on the inside, just like we shaded with the lines in the value scale, I'm starting from the side right there and just going along to give it a little bit of a shadow, because it's going to be darker in there. It's a cave. I like that the video will have Michael Jackson. They're going to end up not playing it. Okay. All right, so you get the idea. The next thing that you're going to do, and you could do this before, you could do this after, so I'm actually going to skip it for right now, but I do want you to include the palm of the hand. All right? And I say skip it, and then I have to draw some of it, of course. All right, you can look at your palm of your hand if you want. The only thing is, if you trace your left hand and you flip it over, you're going to get the wrong details. So you have to look at the hand you draw with, making it a little tricky. So you may want to actually just look at the drawing for this. I'll survive and you'll survive. All right. And you can add in some shading like they did. And if you notice, they did the line shading, which is more of a sketchy kind of shading. All right, so now on to the textures. Okay, so the first one right here is burlap. So the burlap texture is like a potato sack. If you've ever had a potato sack or a sack of potatoes, then you know what burlap is. If you don't, then I'm sorry. My best description of what burlap feels like is it's a rough texture. So that is why you have all those little knots and little flyaways. It's almost like the fabric of cotton, but instead it's like a straw material kind of interwoven with each other. All right, so in order to draw it, I want you to think back to when we did the cross hatching just before, okay? Also, you want to try to curve things towards the top of the finger, because if you're drawing the cross hatching just straight up and down, be it that would be fine, it doesn't make it appear to be on the actual finger. And if you really want to go for that it's looking like it's on the finger, then you do want to try and curve it. Okay, so I'm starting these imperfect lines. Okay, and they start at the top, and I work my way down. And when I say imperfect, I mean that they don't need to be neat. It's woven, a woven, tough, rough fabric. Okay? The next thing I want to do is I want to draw the lines going across, but that's also what I want to curve, almost in like a very slight U shape. You can even go back and forth. And again, you do not need this to be neat. There should be no rulers used for this. There's the band. Okay, and I actually don't mind that there's some of it coming off of the finger, because there would absolutely be flyaways. Okay, so then after that, you might want to add some dark spots in there somewhere. Okay, even some flyaways, like I said, just little quick, short lines. Okay, and then if you want to add a little bit of shading towards the side, add a little bit of shading towards the side. That little bit of shading is going to also help with making it look three-dimensional and rounded. Okay, the second one is the bricks. Okay, such a party next door. All right, so the bricks, like anything else, even the burlap, all of these textures you can do in so many different ways. Even all the leaves that we looked at in the presentation I showed you. The bricks that the leaves that we looked at were done in so many different ways. Okay, so the bricks, I'll show you a few different ways that you can do the bricks. Okay, so you can draw, either start with a few rows, and then you make the rectangles within that, like this. Okay, so that's one way. Another way is by drawing the actual rectangles. Okay, and when I do this, I like to leave a little bit of space, which is like the grout. Then you still stagger the rectangles. Okay? Now, unfortunately, like I said, the cinder blocks in my room, for some reason you don't stagger the cinder blocks, so those are not a good example, but actual bricks you do stagger. The way that it shows right here is the bricks are connected to each other, and that's also fine. If you can, try to round them out, okay? But still connecting them, and I'm almost still trying to make it look as if it's on the finger, okay? And you still want to stagger them. Staggering meaning that they're not one right on top of the other. If you draw this, that does not look like bricks. That looks like the hideous cinder blocks that I have. I feel like YouTube's not going to play my video because of the background music. Okay. All right, so once you have all the bricks drawn, the next thing that you want to do, and if you didn't notice, by the way, I meant to mention this, all of the fingers have a description of how to draw them, a guide of how to draw them the best, okay? All right, so there's the bricks laid out. What it's showing you, okay, it's showing you that in each one, you do a little bit of shading. That shading looks kind of like this, Like it starts out tall on one side and then it scoops down. Okay, so I kind of wish my pencil was a little more sharpened, but that's okay. Okay, so I'm doing that in each of the bricks. I also like to add in a little spot, a little scratch here and there. I don't know if it says to do that. Sometimes I even shade it a little bit, use my drawing stump, add just a little bit. Okay, how's everybody doing with this? Bad? I so have a feeling this isn't going to be able to play. Okay. All right, so adding these to each of the bricks, and again, at the end, I'm going to shade the rest of them. All right, we're trying to give that illusion of the rough texture. All right, you don't have to do this shading part either. Or at least do the lines, but like I said, there's a million different ways to do everything. Look at how this one has already been killed. I did not do that. That was not me. Okay, so adding in my scratches to get that rough texture, a little bit extra. Okay. Okay, done. There's my bricks. All right, any questions on the bricks? Are you doing it correct? That is a good question, let me see. So the next one is the scales, okay? Gotta figure out how to, okay. All right, so the scales are the letter U. It says, to create scales, first draw a line of U's, then add another and another. That's pretty easy, all right? So that's basically this. You start with a row of U's, then you keep adding and adding and adding. So just like that, okay? So I'm gonna start up here at the top of the finger, like that, and then I'm just gonna keep going. Your scales may be a little bit larger than this, that's fine. Okay, again, I keep using that word illusion because you are creating an illusion. Okay, so right now I'm creating that illusion of scales.
That's cute.
Wait, thank you.
Make sure to close the door.
All right, so yes, it will take time, but you will be okay. This is kind of like the stippling. I don't think I've done all the fingers in the full finger in a long time. I've just watched you guys do it. Okay, and if you want to add a little bit of shading to this as well, I'm doing it a little preemptively. You can add to the side. You can even add a little bit under each row if you would like to do that. Okay? This is more of why you want to save like a point on the, you can go. More of why you would want to save the point on the drawing stump so that you could get a little more detailed with your shading. Okay, so let me keep going. Let's switch pencils maybe. Okay, so let me add in the rest of that shading. Okay. All right, so the next one is the cactus. All right, how's everybody doing still? I hope that you guys are still following along with me. All right, so the next one is the cactus. So to do the cactus, okay, it says you're first drawing the spine lines. So it's similar to how we did the burlap. Okay, again, I want to start towards the top. And again, they do not need to be perfect lines. All right, but you do want them a little more separated. Okay, so there's my spine lines. And now you just add this. Okay, 1, 2, 3. All right, a little like chicken scratch or like a chicken's footprint or something. Okay, so you're going to add that along the spine in a couple places. And then again, you can add some shading. It doesn't always have to be the 3. Sometimes it could be 1, sometimes 2. What tissue? It's probably in there, actually. All right, so this one's a little less time consuming than the scales. Okay, so then if you want to add some shading to it, I like to do a little bit of shading in between. But you can also add some shading, a little heavier shading off to the side. Okay, again, to give it a little more of a rounded appearance. Okay, the reason I like to go in between is so that I get a little bit of a highlight and a shadow with the spines. Okay. All right, and the last texture is the fur. Actually, it's not the last texture. I apologize. I want you also to do the wood plank and the glass that are on the side. All right, so for the fur, I typically start at the top, and you're just doing short, quick little lines. That's it. And you're just doing rows and rows and rows of these short, quick little lines. Okay, and again, so if you look, guys, if you look, the lines that I drew, they're still kind of curving towards the top, and you can even get a little bit of like a little side swept coming off of the side. Okay, to give it more of a hairy appearance. Okay, so as I start each row, I want it to go into the other row. Okay, the one that I just drew. Okay. All right, I just keep drawing the different rows. What happened? It's okay. Oh, on the fingers, Isaiah, that's totally fine. That's completely fine. The only ones that I don't want on your hand are the wood plank and the glass. That's it. If you did this opposite, that's fine, especially for my lefties. Where my lefties at? All right, so there's the fur, there's the hand. All of that is done. Let's zoom out. All right, so any questions on any of these fingers? No? Beautiful, everyone understands. Okay, so the last that we're gonna do, pick a spot that you haven't drawn, okay, or where you haven't drawn on, and we're gonna do the wood plank and the glass off to the side. Okay, so the wood plank, All right, you start off with the rectangle. Okay, so all this is kind of interwoven wavy lines. I like to draw them almost like a wonky spiral, or at least start with that. And then just draw lines that kind of keep tracing each other. Okay, maybe go in the opposite direction now. All it is everything kind of interweaves. All right, and there's the wood plank. You could do it thinner. My pencil right now is very unsharpened, so that's why I'm getting such a dark, or not a dark enough, I feel. Okay, you can even add in some shading if you would like. Okay, and last, if you would like to make it look as if this is three-dimensional, okay, then if you notice, the only thing that's happening on the side is that's a parallelogram, really. Okay, and here's one more. Okay, and you can shade that in. Probably darker would be best. Ladies, I thought today we were proving to me. Okay, and then the last one is the glass. The glass is so easy. And I hate saying that things are easy because not everything is easy for everyone. But, okay, so there it is. Then, boom, boom, boom. Okay, I just draw a few lines. Glass, done. Okay, so then again, if you want to make it look like a thick piece of glass, then just add those parallelograms off to the side. Did a little extra shading there, left a little highlight in between, and there it is. All right, anything else you need to finish, go for it. Okay, just adding a couple spots. Maybe I'll add a rock right here. Why not? A happy little rock, right? Like Bob Ross. All right, so this line right here, I don't know if you can see it. A lot of times people want to draw the surface of something like right underneath the object. It actually goes somewhat farther behind. All right, so Mizel, boom, done. Drop pencil. All right, I hope you've all enjoyed my demonstration of texture. Check us out on, what do the young people say? Check me out on YouTube, Mizel Art. What?